There was once a man who had two sons. The younger of the two, restless and impatient, came to his father and said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." In those days, such a request was more than unusual. It was unthinkable. To ask for one's inheritance before the death of a parent was to wish that parent dead. Still, the father, loving his son deeply and respecting his will, divided his property between his sons, giving the younger his share. Not long after, the younger son gathered all he had and set out for a distant country. His heart soared with a longing for adventure, freedom, and self discovery. For the first time, he was free from the familiar fields and routines, able to pursue whatever pleasures caught his eye. In the brightness of city lights and the thrill of each new experience, he spent money freely, buying new clothes, throwing lavish parties, befriending strangers who welcomed his generosity, and indulging in every whim. But as the weeks stretched into months, his inheritance slowly dwindled. The parties grew smaller, friends disappeared, and soon his gold was gone. All at once, a severe famine struck the land. Food became scarce, prices rose sharply, and desperation gripped the city. Alone and destitute, the young man searched for work. The only job he could find was on a distant farm feeding pigs, a shameful task, especially for a young man from a devout home where such animals were considered unclean. Each day he sloshed through the mud, hunger gnawing at him, wishing he could eat the pods he fed to the pigs. But no one gave him anything. The burdens of regret and shame pressed heavily upon him. He remembered his former life, not just the comfort, but the love and dignity he had left behind. He thought of his father's house, where even the servants had enough food to spare, where each was clothed and cared for. In that moment, clarity pierced through the fog of despair. "I will arise and go to my father," he resolved, "and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.'" With these words echoing in his mind, he set out on the long journey home. Each step was fraught with anxiety. Would his father even receive him? Had he burned the bridge beyond repair? As he neared the outskirts of the village, his home appeared on the horizon. Unbeknownst to him, his father had spent countless hours watching that road, longing for his son's return. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him. His heart surged with compassion. He did not wait for his son to come all the way home. Abandoning all regard for dignity and custom, he ran to meet him, arms outstretched. When the young man fell to his knees, stammering through trembling lips, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son," his father raised him up, threw his arms around him, and embraced him. Overwhelmed with joy, the father called to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Place a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Prepare the fattened calf and let us feast. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The house brimmed with music and laughter as the father welcomed his son home. There was abundant food and joyful dancing. But out in the field, the elder brother, dutiful and hardworking, heard the celebration and grew puzzled. When he learned the reason, his hurt and anger flared. He refused to join the festivities. The father, noticing his absence, went out to plead with him. The elder brother's words brimmed with resentment. "Look, all these years I have slaved for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never even gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours, who has squandered your wealth, returns, you kill the fattened calf for him." Gently the father replied, "My son, you are always with me and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate. Your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The story told by Jesus remains timeless. It is a story of rebellion, remorse, and above all, of forgiveness. A window into the heart of God. The younger son represents anyone who has wandered far from what is good, believing happiness lies in the pursuit of selfish desires. At first, such a path can seem promising, full of excitement and freedom, but it often leads to emptiness and regret. Yet the heart of this parable is not the son's failure, but the father's response. It is in this father's love that we glimpse the depth and breadth of God's forgiveness. The father's compassion defies expectation. Where others might respond with anger or retribution, he responds with mercy and joy. He does not demand excuses or repayment. He does not rebuke, but restores. He runs to meet his wayward son. He covers him with the robe of honor, restores him to the family, and celebrates his return without mention of the pain suffered or money lost. This is the essence of divine forgiveness, a love that is steadfast, unfailing, and ready to embrace even those who consider themselves unworthy. God's forgiveness is not earned through penance or hard labor. It is a gift, freely given to those who turn back in humility and repentance. But the story goes further. The elder brother's reaction is a cautionary reminder that even those who have always stayed close, who have followed the rules and never gone astray, can struggle with forgiveness. In his bitterness, he refuses to celebrate the restoration of another. His resentment blinds him to the abundance and acceptance that has always been his. Through this, we are invited to consider our own hearts. Do we begrudge the forgiveness and grace given to others? Are we willing to rejoice when the lost are found, or do we cling to a sense of superiority? In the imagery of the parable, the robe, the ring, and the sandals all hold significance. The robe marks the returned son's restored status, the ring, a symbol of authority and belonging, and the sandals, a sign of freedom. Servants went barefoot, but sons wore shoes. Each gesture speaks of total restoration, not just a place in the household, but a full return to sonship. This story does not shy away from the pain of sinful choices, nor of the cost of steadfast love. The father bears the disgrace of the son's departure and the scorn of the village. Yet his love triumphs. The cross, too, is the place where God's love and forgiveness are fully revealed. The Christian faith points to Jesus, who spoke this parable as the one who bore the wounds of rejection and shame to make forgiveness possible for all. Forgiveness then is not about minimizing failure or forgetting wrongs done. It is about restoration, about bridging the chasm between what we have done and who we are meant to be. It does not erase consequences, but it gives hope and a new beginning. To seek forgiveness demands humility, a willingness to admit need, to turn from pride, and to accept a grace that cannot be earned. Embracing God's forgiveness does not guarantee an easy road. The prodigal son's journey home was one of uncertainty and vulnerability. Yet hope blooms where honesty meets love. In coming home, the son discovers that acceptance waits not at the end of a proving ground, but right at the threshold, before the apology is even finished, before the words can be spoken. Arms are already wide open. In our own lives, the journey may look different. We may not waste an inheritance or wander to another land, but each of us in some way has known the feeling of being lost, of making a decision we regret, of wishing we could start again. The message of the prodigal son is that there is always a way home. However far we have gone, however deep the failures, forgiveness is possible. Sometimes it is a single step, a prayer, a confession, a moment of truth that marks the way back. And yet the story also challenges us to be like the Father. If God's forgiveness is generous and unconditional, so too should be ours, whether toward ourselves or others. We are not called to keep score or compare worthiness, but to open the circle, to welcome the lost, to heal the wounded, to celebrate every sign of return. Around the table of forgiveness, there is always room. The parable of the prodigal son is a call to let go of pride, bitterness, and self-righteousness. It is an invitation to let ourselves be embraced by the love that seeks us even before we seek it, the love that runs out to meet us at our lowest point. In the Father's joy, we see a God who delights not in punishment, but in restoration. Ultimately, the story is not just about one family, one lost son, or even the two brothers. It is a story about all of us. Whether we see ourselves in the prodigal, the elder brother, or the loving father, the message remains. Forgiveness is the greatest gift. It restores what is broken, heals what was wounded, and brings the dead back to life. May we learn to receive forgiveness with humble gratitude, to offer it to others with passionate generosity, and to rejoice with all who find their way home. For in every homecoming, in every act of mercy, and in every moment of reconciliation, we glimpse the limitless, unfathomable grace of God.